So for the new farm that I'm starting here in 2025, this is the sprayer that I'm going to use. My John Deere 6000 High Cycle. Now for those of you guys that have been watching for a while, I think you all expected this. You guys knew that I was going to be using a High Cycle for my sprayer. But for all of you guys who are new, who are recently subscribed to the channel, I love these sprayers. In fact, I am the self-proclaimed king of the 6000 High Cycle sprayer on YouTube. Anyways, this sprayer is not new to the channel. I bought this back in March for $8,000 or $8,500, I don't remember. Anyways, it did do a little bit of spraying here this spring that did not end up on the channel. I probably sprayed about 20 acres or so of some leftover fertilizer. But if I'm gonna be using it here this next year, there's a few things I need to do and a little bit of work that I need to do to get it really, really ready. The first thing that you'll probably notice is that it doesn't have a tank on it. So when I bought the sprayer, the tank was all rotted out on the bottom, which is a very common issue for these sprayers. So I took it to my welding friend and he welded this up back here. I'm gonna change it a little bit, but based off of the nothing that he had to go on, he actually did a very, very good job. But there's some more spots up here that are rusted out that I'm gonna try and cut out and fix here, and I think there's a little bit on this side as well. Yeah, maybe this spot right here. So this is gonna be a fair amount of work by itself because I gotta take it apart, get the plastic tank out, cut it apart, measure in the new pieces, weld it in, put it back together. I'm pretty excited for that though. I really love doing projects like that. But on the sprayer itself, not a ton of work to do the sprayer. I actually did a lot of it last year and that's all on video. But I do have a new front tire for it and I am planning on partially replumbing this boom, which I'll get into here more later. Well, let's start tearing apart this tank. I gotta use my new Christmas presents that I bought for myself. Got a Craftsman Impact, 1,000 foot-pounds of breakaway torque, which I am not gonna be using on these 1/2-inch bolts. Then I also got myself an angle grinder too. Getting these tools really wasn't that necessary right now, but as I'm splitting off from my dad and my brother, kinda slowly here, even though I'm using their shop at the moment and I have access to all their tools, eventually I'm gonna need my own. So I'm just kind of slowly collecting tools and buying tools that I know that I will eventually need. Plus, I can keep these in the tractor and not have to steal theirs. Yeah, this'll work. Oh yeah. Easy peasy. So you can see what happens here. Right here, so the tank's upside down at the moment. So this is the bottom of the tank. Right down here, that is the fill spot. So that's where you fill it up. And if you overfill it, that's where it overflows. So the chemical or fertilizer overflows and it goes down and it collects down here in the bottom. And that's why this part was absolutely gone. Now I haven't really seen it too much where the front is gone like this too. But my guess is that there was maybe a leak here, a leak up here by the pump, or just over time moisture got collected in there and made it really thin. It is a bit more rusty in here than I thought it was going to be, so maybe I'll take a good wire brush and make sure I get it all really nice and clean and see where the thicker metal is and where the thin stuff is and start taking her apart. And you'll see that my tractor is connected to the tile plow in the background. My dad has been borrowing my tractor and using it for tiling his fields in exchange for he will help me tile my fields in the future. So keeping the hours off his tractor, putting them on mine to help me out in the future, basically, yeah. Okay, how do I? I didn't think this all the way through. Now how do I get the tank out? Gotta lift it from the, Well, got the wire brush. I hate these things because they just spray wires in every which direction, and they hurt. So protect my most valuable assets. Let's get started, I guess. It's gonna be a while. I guess I better protect my internal assets too. Oh, that's so much better. There we go. Oh boy. Well, I'm making some progress here, and well, it's a lot worse than I thought it was. If you look over here on this side, basically this entire, like, here, down, over, and up. This is all getting really thin. In fact, you can start to see some more daylight through some places in here that you couldn't a little bit before. This side, not as bad. But yeah, so this, I might have to go order some more steel to really do this thing right. So next day, and there's a little bit of a change in plans. After grinding or wire brushing this thing for a long time, I realized that it's just a bit too gone in order to actually cut it out and redo it. So here's the plan. I went and got some more steel from my welding buddy last night, and I am just going to simply, if I can try to do this one-handed, butt weld this steel up here where the angle iron is, where that's good, and then wrap it around and weld it down low where the metal is good on the bottom. That way it has some protection or some more strength on the outside, and I understand that welding like this can cause more rust in the future, but let's be honest, this is probably going to outlast the sprayer anyways, so it's kind of a temporary / permanent solution. But I also have straps on the sprayer which will also hold it up. So this is the best solution I got without spending oodles and oodles of money. So I got some primer on the one side here. I'm gonna flip it over and get butt welding this thing. This is going to be the tricky part. Trying to form this thing. Vice grips? I think vice grips. So on the outside edge, it's really easy to get this metal to form because I just clamp it along and go. On the inside, I have no way of getting a clamp in here, and I don't really know how to get this to form well. So I'm gonna take man's best friend, heat, and try and persuade it a little bit. Well, that actually looks pretty dang good. I mean, it's pretty formed with it. You can see all the divots from where I hit the hammer, but other than that, have Trevor weld this up. I gotta get this corner a little bit better, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I hit down to good metal. You can see my penetration right here, so that's good. Now I just gotta do this side. And now this side is done as well. I had my dad come and put a little weight on it so that way I could finish up the corners really nice. And you know, when I first started this, I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna be a thing of beauty. And it's still not a thing of beauty, but it actually looks a lot better than I ever thought it would. So Trevor will hopefully weld this in the next couple days. But before I leave the tank, I do need to fix this quick. So basically, if you look going this direction, this hole right here is supposed to be square. And it's about a 1/2 inch shorter up here than it is back here. So I need to make this a little bit shorter. It's just gonna fit the tank better. So I'm just gonna angle grind off these welds right here, move each piece of angle iron back about a 1/4 inch, and then weld it back together quick. And then I can start taking apart the boom on the highboy itself. Looks like it'll do. Cool. Done with that. So now that the tank is done, it is time to work on the sprayer itself, in particular, the booms. Now you may be thinking, Carson, you're inside, it's really cold outside, how in the heck are you gonna work on these booms? Well, I think if I get this sprayer maneuvered in here just right, I can unfold at least most of the boom. And then if I have to do the other part, I'll just flip it the other way. Just watch. With his exhaust fumes. Little Smokey always leaves a nice little haze in the air after you let it run for more than 15 seconds. So, my sprayer boom. I can actually get one side completely folded out, and this side I kind of have to do a right angle, but I can get to the entire boom this way. Anyways, my sprayer works, the boom works. I mean, we did spray a little bit with it here this year. However, this is the reason why I want to pay attention to this boom. Okay, the spacing between these two nozzles is 18.5 inches. And now the spacing between these two nozzles is 23.25. So it is a 20-inch spacing sprayer. So all the boom or the nozzles are 20 inches apart, except for the fact that some are 18, some are 23, some are 15. Like right here, there's a 15. Right here, there's a 15. I'm not quite for sure what's going on there. And then also the end section. So I have a 3 sections. So in the sprayer with my rate controller, I can shut off 3 individual sections. The end section is 15 feet. The middle section is 33.33 feet. And then the last one is 12 feet. So I want to make it 15, 30, 15 since I have a 60-foot boom. I want to make it even. So what I need to do is I need to start measuring and marking where every 20 inches. I want my nozzle spacing to be as good as it can possibly get, right at 20 inches on the dot, because that's the best way I'm going to have the best coverage and the best chance against weeds. And then once I get those all marked out, I'm going to move those around. Now I might need to, like this tube right here is as tight as it can get. So if I need to move these apart, I need to get new hose or new tubing. And that is what is in this lovely box right here. I bought way too much hose because frankly, I don't think you can ever have enough. So this is 5/8 and that is 3/4. Now, 5/8 inch sprayer hose is super uncommon nowadays. It's either 1/2 inch or 3/4. 5/8, basically unheard of. In fact, you can't even buy 5/8 nozzle bodies anymore. I looked. So my original plan was to switch it all over to 3/4 inch tubing, put all new nozzle bodies, basically take the booms completely apart and redo it. And then I saw the bill or my total and checkout, and then I decided that I could probably use what I have and get by for a few years and just buy some 5/8 inch hose. So it was like 1/5 the price just to buy some hose and keep the nozzles than it was to replace everything. So got a lot of work here. It is currently 8:30 at night, I would say, and I want to get at least half the boom done tonight in this video. So I'm going to do the half that is currently all the way unfolded, and I got a tape measure and a paint marker. Might as well get started. So I double checked the center, and this spray nozzle is within that far of the center, so I'm just going to call that the center. So then I went out and I measured every single one, and you know, this one is 1/4 inch off or so, and you know, they're off a little bit here and there, and it gets pretty good. In fact, like right about here it actually gets perfect. But then here's another 1/2 inch gap, I don't know, 1/4 inch gap. Then here we have like a 3 inch gap, so this is like 23.5 inches, while this is less than 20 right here. And then we get to the end here and it gets really bad. You know, here's where 20 inches is, here's where the nozzle is. Same here in the end, 20 inches right here. Nozzle's a good 3 inches past it. So, oh boy, do I just start loosening all the hose clamps now? I mean, this is gonna be very hard. This one doesn't even have a hose clamp. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a pain in the butt. I'm not excited for this at all. Oh, I might just have to get new hose just because I'm gonna cut all this off because I can't get it off the nozzles. Yeah, I can't break any of the nozzles because I can't buy any more. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is gonna be miserable. Absolutely miserable. I wonder, does an air compressor help if you can get compressed air in there? Like it would, like a handlebar grip on a dirt bike or a snowmobile? Oh my gosh, that ain't going anywhere. Well, here's the thing. If this doesn't work, I'm just gonna start cutting them off because it's gonna be the easiest and fastest way to do this, and I have new ones. Yeah, they're getting cut off. Now if I can cut it off here. Make it much easier to remove. There we go. Sorry for this camera angle, I forgot my tripod. Well, this is gonna be a nice, long, fun night cutting off hoses. One by one. I mean, realistically, the inside of these hoses actually looks to be in great condition. Like, this is totally reusable hose if you could get it off the dang fitting and do it without damaging the fitting. That's the other important part. So every once in a while there is a nozzle in the middle of two 20 inch. So here to here is 20 inch. They put one in the middle at 10 inches. I don't need any 10 inch nozzles, so I'm actually gonna remove the ones that are at 10 inch, and then I have a couple extra nozzle bodies in case I break some. So I should just be able to do that, and it should come off after I everything's rusted. Oh. Shocker, bolt stripped out. First one. This is gonna be a fun night. vice grip on. Whew. All that impacting to remove a nut off the smallest bolt in the world. Oh. Please come off. Hey! Oh, there's still water in it. Well, that one's also stripped out. Oh my gosh. Every single one of these is going to be stripped out. I have to replace every single one of these bolts. I'm calling it right now. Not a great time. I can't get an angle grinder in it. No! Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I can't get an angle grinder in it, and I can't get the bolt out. Oh. Well, finally got it. I don't know how much you guys can see here, but yeah, snap that bolt right off. So I've actually surprisingly made pretty good progress. I kind of found a trick to not stripping these things out, and that is hold the top down really good and then slowly run the impact. Don't just whiz it right away, otherwise they'll just break it off or strip it. And that actually seems to work pretty good. And I'm able to just get them loose enough so I can shimmy them one side to the other. So if you can see now, that spacing looks a lot more consistent, and I have made it to right here. And I thought, what a perfect opportunity to show you guys how to cut off a hose from a fitting without wrecking the fitting. So, step one, take out the hose clamp. Step two, I like to cut it off about right there. Typically, a pipe cutter works really good for this. I cannot find ours, so my Leatherman works pretty good. Now, I really like serrated knife blades like this for cutting these off. And how I do it is, well, if you look right here, in this hose, there is these strings, these strands. I don't know what the correct word for it would be. Stitching, maybe? Webbing? I don't know. Anyways, you want to cut through these strings, but not all the way through the rubber, because then you might hit the plastic and damage it. So if you listen really closely, you can kind of feel it too. Right there. I'm hitting the stringing right now. And then I just keep going out. The second I can kind of hear or feel it go through the stringing, I stop. And then I'm able to just kind of pry it like this. It's kind of hard to do this one-handed. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. There we go. Now I can just peel it all the way back. It seems like once you get through those strings, the rubber peels pretty easy. So then I turn it, cut a little bit more. I did not go quite at a steep enough angle of what I usually like to do. Peel it back. Nope, didn't get quite all the way through it. There we go. Like that. Now, a little further. There we go. Now it's just be able to pop right off like that. And if you look at it really closely, I did not ding up any of those barbs. Hold it down. Get it just loose enough that I can shimmy it over. Oh, I need to cut this one off first. Okay, shimmy it on over to where it needs to be. Right there. Double check it with a tape measure. Little bit too far, actually. I'd say about right there. Golden. Tighten it back up. Just like that. So I have made a large mess on the floor here, but nonetheless, I got this half the boom done, except for this last one. This last one needs to go right where this bracket is, and it's getting really, really late, and I don't feel like doing that tonight. So that's gonna be, this one nozzle is gonna be a later project, but now I need to get hoses on all the connectors, all the T's that I cut off, which is a lot of them. Well, the good news is that this process should be much easier than what I just did, even though the part that I just did actually was a lot easier than I expected it to be after I got a system down. But cut tube, put tube on. Pretty self-explanatory. Measure tube, cut tube, braids. They're called braids. Oh my gosh, took me the whole night to think of that one. Put the hose clamps on said tube and install tube. Just like that. I just realized something horribly wrong that basically puts all the work that I just did to nothing. A 60-foot boom with 20-inch spacing is supposed to have 36 nozzles. My sprayer has 37, which means that the nozzles are not supposed to start in the middle of the sprayer. They're supposed to start 10 inches to each side, which eliminates one nozzle overall, which means that everything I just did in this boom, and then basically the half of this boom that I did off camera, I have to redo. Which isn't that big of a deal. Where it gets tricky is that means I need a nozzle right here on this joint, which is doable. I just don't know how yet. Weld something like that. It's gonna hang a bit lower than the rest of the nozzles, but it'll be good enough, maybe? I don't know. I was planning on completing this tonight, but I just said I'm gonna go to bed now. And there will definitely be a part 2 because there's a lot more we have left to do. It's ended up being a lot bigger project than I thought it would be. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.